Vivian Blake didn't expect a warm welcome at Westfield Academy, but she also didn't expect war. On her first day, she walked into a world built by money, ruled by legacy, and patrolled by students who believed fear was power. Vivian was just a scholarship girl trying to start over, hiding a past too painful to speak of. But when she made the mistake of answering one question in biology, she caught the attention of Sophia Blackwell, the school's untouchable queen bee. What started as a smirk turned into sabotage. What Vivian didn't know, someone else was watching. And he wasn't just her brother, he was her quiet, unseen backup plan. Just before we start, do you usually watch these while winding down at night or sneaking in a break during the day? Drop your answer in the comments, I'd love to know. This story's got more twists than you think. Make sure you're subscribed so you're here for all of them. Vivian Blake clutched her schedule tightly, the paper crinkling under her sweaty fingers. The polished marble floors of Westfield Academy stretched before her like an endless sea. Students in navy blazers with gold trim flowed past, their voices echoing off the high ceilings. "You'll be fine," her brother Marcus had promised that morning. "Just be yourself." Easy for him to say. He was working here as the new security consultant, but nobody knew they were related. That was their secret. After what happened at her last school, Vivian just wanted to disappear. Westfield Academy wasn't just any school. It was the school where politicians' children and future CEOs learned which fork to use at dinner. And here was Vivian, only attending because of her perfect test scores and a scholarship. She found her homeroom and slipped inside. 20 pairs of eyes flicked toward her, then away, except for one. A girl with perfect blonde hair and a cold smile stared directly at Vivian. Something in that gaze made Vivian's stomach tighten. "Class, please welcome our new student, Vivian Blake," Mrs. Peterson said. Vivian raised her hand in a small wave, then quickly took an empty seat in the back row. "Vivian comes to us from Lakeside High with exceptional academic credentials," Mrs. Peterson continued. The blonde girl's eyebrows lifted. Vivian saw her lean to whisper to a redhead beside her, both glancing back with matching smirks. During biology class, Vivian's hand shot up automatically when the teacher asked about mitochondria. The words flowed easily. Science had always been her safe place. "Thank you, Miss Blake." Impressive, the teacher nodded. As she sat down, a voice hissed from behind. "Nobody likes a know-it-all scholarship case." Vivian's cheeks burned. She didn't turn around. At lunch, she found an empty table and unwrapped her sandwich. A shadow fell across her tray. "I'm Sophia Blackwell," said the blonde from homeroom. 3 girls flanked her, all wearing identical expressions of superior amusement. "That's my table. I didn't see a name on it," Vivian said, then immediately regretted her words. Sophia's smile tightened. "You're new, so I'll explain. My family has donated the East Wing, the swimming pool, and the science lab. My mother chairs the board. My grandmother has a building named after her." She leaned closer. "So everything here has my name on it." "Understand." From across the cafeteria, Marcus watched, his face impassive as he pretended to check his phone. His security badge hung around his neck, but no one knew he was gathering evidence of bullying for the principal. He caught Vivian's eye for just a second. "Don't interfere," they'd agreed. But as his sister gathered her lunch and slunk away, Marcus wondered if they'd made a terrible mistake. What neither Blake's sibling realized was that Sophia Blackwell had already decided Vivian needed to be taught a lesson. And Sophia's lessons always left scars. Vivian opened her locker the next morning to find her books scattered and a note waiting. "Go back where you belong." Her hands trembled as she crumpled it up. This wasn't supposed to happen again. New school, new start, that was the plan. In literature class, the teacher assigned partner work. Vivian sat alone until the teacher paired her with a quiet girl named Ellie. "Sorry you got stuck with me," Vivian whispered. Ellie shrugged. "Better you than Sophia's crew. What's her problem anyway? Sophia doesn't have problems. She creates them." Ellie kept her voice low. "Her family practically owns this school. Anyone who outshines her regrets it." Vivian thought of her perfect score on yesterday's pop quiz, the one the teacher had announced to everyone. Guess I'm already on her list. During gym, Vivian changed quickly in the corner of the locker room. She nearly escaped when Sophia and her friends entered. "Look who's hiding," Sophia called out. "Afraid we'll see your discount underwear." The girls laughed. Vivian pushed past them, eyes down. "My father looked up your old school," Sophia continued, her voice carrying. "Interesting how you left mid-semester." "Something about a breakdown." Vivian froze. How could they know that? Was it the mental hospital or just regular therapy? Sophia asked sweetly. The locker room went silent. 20 girls watched, waiting. "That's private," Vivian whispered. "Nothing's private at Westfield." Sophia stepped closer. "We're just looking out for student safety. Someone unstable could be dangerous." Tears threatened, but Vivian swallowed them back. She'd promised herself, never show weakness again. From his security office, Marcus watched the hallway cameras. He couldn't see inside the locker room, but when Vivian emerged with red eyes and tight shoulders, he knew. His jaw clenched as he made another note in his growing file. At lunch, Vivian hid in the library. A shadow fell across her table. "Mind if I sit?" It was Ellie. Vivian shrugged. "You might catch my unpopularity. I'm already infected." Ellie smiled slightly. Been on Sophia's blacklist since 6th grade. For the first time, Vivian felt less alone. After school, Vivian headed toward the exit when a foot appeared in her path. She stumbled, books flying everywhere. Laughter erupted as papers scattered across the floor. "Oops," said Sophia's friend Rebecca. So clumsy, Vivian knelt to gather her things. A hand appeared, helping collect papers. Vivian looked up to find a man in a security uniform, Marcus, being careful not to show recognition. "Everything okay here?" he asked professionally. "Fine," Vivian muttered. "Just an accident," Rebecca added sweetly. Marcus handed Vivian her books. "If you ever need help, security office is always open." As Sophia watched from down the hall, her eyes narrowed. Something about how that security guard looked at the new girl bothered her. It felt protective. That night, Sophia sent a group text to her inner circle. "Time to show Scholarship Girl what happens to people who don't know their place." The next day would change everything. By Friday, Vivian's stomach hurt every morning before school. The whispers followed her down hallways. Someone had drawn a crude picture of her on the bathroom wall. Her gym clothes had mysteriously disappeared, forcing her to sit out and fail participation. Even Ellie kept her distance in public now. "I can't be seen with you," she'd explained quietly. "They'll come after me next." Vivian understood. Self-preservation was something she knew well. That afternoon in chemistry, the teacher announced lab partners for the semester project, worth 40% of their grade. Vivian Blake and Sophia Blackwell. Vivian's heart sank. Across the room, Sophia's face darkened. "I'd like to request a different partner," Sophia announced. The teacher blinked. "The pairings are final, Miss Blackwell." For the first time, Sophia couldn't get her way. The whispers started immediately. Vivian kept her eyes fixed on her notebook, feeling the hatred radiating from Sophia's direction. After class, Sophia cornered Vivian in the empty classroom. "Listen carefully," she hissed. "You will do all the work. I will take half the credit. If we get anything less than an A, you'll regret it." Vivian stared at her shoes. She should agree. It would be easier. But something inside her, the part that had been beaten down at her old school, the part her therapist had been helping her rebuild, flared to life. "That's not fair," Vivian said quietly. Sophia's eyes widened. "Excuse me? I said it's not fair. We should both do equal work." A strange smile spread across Sophia's face. "You know what's not fair? That you're even at this school. That I have to breathe the same air as you." She stepped closer. "My father could make your scholarship disappear with one phone call." Vivian felt her throat tighten. That scholarship was everything. Her ticket to college, her future. Then why doesn't he? The words came out before Vivian could stop them. Sophia moved with startling speed. Her hand shot out, gripping Vivian's collar, pushing her backward until she stumbled into a chair. Before Vivian could react, Sophia had her in a chokehold, looming over her. Because I haven't asked him to. Yet. Sophia's voice was deadly calm. This is your final warning. The classroom door opened. Several girls from Sophia's circle entered, watching with various expressions, some shocked, others amused, none helping. And there, at the back of the room, stood a figure Vivian recognized instantly. Marcus, his face expressionless, arms crossed. To anyone else, he looked like security doing a routine check. But Vivian saw the fury in his eyes. Just as quickly as it started, Sophia released her grip. "Just showing my lab partners some wrestling moves," she said loudly, smoothing her uniform. Vivian gasped for air, humiliation burning hotter than the pain in her throat. Marcus stepped forward. "Everything okay in here?" "Perfectly fine," Sophia smiled. "Just girl talk." That night, Vivian finally broke down. "I can't do this anymore," she sobbed to Marcus in their apartment. Marcus placed a folder on the table. "You don't have to," he said quietly. "I have everything we need." The folder was thick with photos, screenshots, and incident reports. "Tomorrow," he promised, "everything changes." Vivian could barely sleep. The weight of Marcus's folder, filled with 2 weeks of documented bullying, sat heavy in her backpack. Today they would take it to Principal Harrington, and everything would change. Or so they hoped. At breakfast, Marcus reviewed their plan. "Remember, let me do the talking initially. The principal already knows about my investigation, but not that you're my sister." Vivian nodded, throat still sore from Sophia's grip. "What if it doesn't work? What if they don't believe us?" "They'll believe the evidence. Pictures don't lie." But people with power did, Vivian thought. The school hallways felt different that morning, like walking toward execution rather than just another day of torment. At her locker, Ellie approached hesitantly. "Are you okay?" "I heard about yesterday," she whispered. "I'm fine," Vivian answered, surprised by Ellie's concern after days of distance. Sophia's gone too far this time. Even her friends are uncomfortable. Ellie glanced around nervously. "I should have said something sooner." "I'm sorry." Before Vivian could respond, her phone buzzed. A text from Marcus, principal's office. "Now, I have to go," Vivian told Ellie. She hurried through the emptying hallways, arriving at the administrative wing as the bell rang. Marcus waited outside the principal's door, his security uniform pressed and official. "Ready?" he asked softly. Vivian nodded, though her legs felt like jelly. Inside, Principal Harrington wasn't alone. Sophia sat in one chair, wearing an expression of practiced innocence. Beside her sat a polished couple, the man in an expensive suit, the woman with the same golden hair as Sophia. "Miss Blake," Principal Harrington said, looking uncomfortable. "Please sit down." Vivian froze. This wasn't the plan. What are they doing here? Marcus asked sharply. Mr. and Mrs. Blackwell had some concerns they wanted to address, Principal Harrington explained. "About yesterday's incident." Sophia's mother smiled thinly. "We understand there was a misunderstanding between the girls. We're here to clear things up." Marcus stepped forward, folder in hand. "Actually, there's been a systematic campaign of harassment against Miss Blake since her arrival. I've documented everything." "And you are?" Mr. Blackwell asked coldly. "Marcus Blake, security consultant hired to investigate bullying claims at Westfield." "Blake?" Mrs. Blackwell's eyes narrowed, darting between Marcus and Vivian. "Are you related?" The room fell silent. "He's my brother," Vivian admitted. Sophia's face transformed with triumph. "They've been plotting against me. This whole thing is a setup." "I think," Mr. Blackwell said slowly, "we need to discuss this consultant's obvious conflict of interest, James." He addressed the principal by his first name, a clear reminder of their relationship. Principal Harrington looked trapped. "Perhaps we should." "No." Marcus's voice cut through the room as he placed the folder on the desk. "First, you look at the evidence. Then we can discuss my employment." He opened it, spreading out photos of vandalized property, screenshots of text messages, and security footage stills. "This goes far beyond Vivian," Marcus continued. Your daughter has created a climate of fear affecting multiple students. The Blackwells stared at the evidence, their expressions changing from dismissive to concerned as they realized how thoroughly documented the bullying was. I had no idea, Mrs. Blackwell finally said, turning to Sophia. Is this true? For the first time, Sophia looked uncertain. They're exaggerating. It was just jokes. Choking someone isn't a joke, Vivian said quietly, finding her voice at last. Neither is threatening their scholarship. The principal looked at the folder contents with growing alarm. He'd hired Marcus to investigate bullying, but clearly hadn't expected this level of evidence, or that it would implicate his biggest donor's daughter. The atmosphere in the room shifted. The power balance teetered. Then Sophia played her last card. If you believe them, she said to her parents, I'll tell everyone about Dad's secretary. The blood drained from Mr. Blackwell's face. The room froze in shock at Sophia's threat. Mr. Blackwell recovered first, his lawyer's composure snapping back into place. I think we should continue this discussion privately, he said, standing abruptly. James, my family will meet with you tomorrow after we've reviewed these allegations. Principal Harrington nodded weakly. The Blackwells swept out, Sophia trailing behind with one venomous glance at Vivian. When the door closed, Principal Harrington deflated into his chair. This is exactly what I was afraid would happen. You knew? Vivian asked, stunned. Not specifics, but complaints about Sophia Blackwell have been coming in for years. Each one mysteriously disappeared from files after her parents visited. He looked at Marcus. That's why I hired you. I needed documentation that couldn't be erased. So what happens now? Vivian asked. That depends. The principal looked troubled. The Blackwells aren't just donors. They're connected to half the board of trustees. If they push back, things could get complicated. Marcus gathered the evidence back into the folder. Then we need to make sure they can't push back. Word spread through Westfield like wildfire. By lunchtime, everyone knew Sophia had been called to the principal's office. Theories multiplied. She was being expelled. Her parents were suing the school. The new security guard was fired. Vivian kept her head down, avoiding the curious stares. In the cafeteria, she sat alone until a lunch tray slid onto the table across from her. Is it true? Ellie asked, sitting down. About Sophia? I can't talk about it, Vivian mumbled. More trays appeared. 3 more girls, all bearing the invisible scars of Sophia's previous campaigns, sat down. We heard you stood up to her, said a quiet junior named Maya. No one's ever done that before. My cousin works in administration, added another girl, Zoe. She said there's serious talk about suspension. For Sophia Blackwell. The table fell silent, absorbing this impossible development. It won't stick, Maya said finally. Her parents will fix it. They always do. Not this time, Vivian said with more confidence than she felt. There's evidence. The afternoon passed in a strange limbo. Sophia didn't return to classes. Her friends huddled in tight, whispering circles. Teachers seemed distracted. After final bell, Vivian headed to her locker where Marcus waited. Principal Harrington called, he said quietly. The Blackwells are demanding my termination and your scholarship review. Vivian's heart sank. So it was all for nothing. Not yet. We still have one card to play. Marcus handed her a flash drive. Every piece of evidence is here, plus statements I collected from other students. If the school doesn't act, we go public. You could lose your job. Some things matter more than jobs. He squeezed her shoulder. Besides, I was only here to help you anyway. As they turned to leave, a commotion erupted at the end of the hall. Sophia had returned, surrounded by her usual group, but something was different. The dynamics had shifted. The girls kept slight distance from her, their loyalty visibly wavering. Sophia spotted Vivian and Marcus. Her face contorted with fury as she strode toward them, breaking away from her friends. Happy now, she hissed. My parents are pulling me from school for a week while they manage the situation, all because you couldn't take a joke. It wasn't a joke, Vivian said quietly. You hurt people. Not just me. Oh, please. Everyone loves me. No, Sophia. They fear you. There's a difference. Something flickered in Sophia's eyes, confusion, perhaps even hurt. But it hardened instantly. You've made a serious enemy today. This isn't over. As she stormed away, Ellie stepped out from a nearby classroom where she'd witnessed everything. It might not be over, she told Vivian, but it's definitely changing. That night, Vivian's phone exploded with text messages. From Ellie, from Maya, from others who'd suffered under Sophia's reign. All offering support, sharing stories, thanking her for speaking up. For the first time in years, Vivian felt something unfamiliar, hope. But across town, in the Blackwell mansion, Sophia was making calls of her own. Her parents might be temporarily cowed by the evidence, but Sophia had other resources, other ways to fight back. Tomorrow would be a day Westfield Academy would never forget. Monday arrived with an uneasy calm. Vivian walked through Westfield's grand entrance, feeling eyes following her. Without Sophia present, the social hierarchy had destabilized overnight. At her locker, Vivian found a small group waiting, Ellie, Maya, and 3 other girls she barely knew. We want to help, Ellie explained. Strength in numbers. Vivian felt her throat tighten with emotion. You don't have to do this. Yes, we do, said a quiet girl named Paige. I've been Sophia's target since 7th grade. If you're going to stand up to her, I want to stand with you. Classes passed in relative peace. During lunch, Vivian sat with her new allies, swapping stories of Sophia's reign of terror. Each tale was worse than the last. Stolen assignments, sabotage presentations, carefully crafted rumors that destroyed friendships and relationships. How did she get away with it for so long? Vivian wondered. Maya sighed. Her parents donate millions. Her dad represents half the school board in legal matters. Teachers who crossed her suddenly found reasons to pursue other opportunities. The cafeteria doors burst open. Rebecca, Sophia's second-in-command, strode in, heading straight for their table. Enjoying your victory? She asked Vivian, voice dripping with disdain. It's not about winning, Vivian replied. Save it. You have no idea what you've started. Rebecca leaned closer. Sophia wanted me to deliver a message. Check your email. With that, she walked away. Vivian's phone buzzed with a new message. The subject line froze her blood. Your past isn't private. With shaking fingers, she opened it to find photos from her old school. Vivian crying in a bathroom, Vivian being mocked in the cafeteria, and worst of all, Vivian being carried to an ambulance after her panic attack last year. A message followed. Tomorrow, everyone sees these. Unless you publicly admit you lied about everything. How did she get these? Vivian whispered. Her cousin goes to Lakeside, Maya explained grimly. Sophia's been digging since you arrived. Vivian felt the familiar tightness in her chest, the beginning of panic. She'd worked so hard to leave that trauma behind. She texted Marcus immediately, emergency. Need you now. He found her in an empty classroom, hyperventilating. Look, she gasped, showing him the email. Marcus's expression darkened. This crosses every line. If these go public, I can't stay here, Vivian said, tears streaming down her face. Not again. This isn't just bullying anymore. It's blackmail. Marcus made a decision. I'm taking this directly to the Board of Trustees. The Blackwells. Can't hide from this. Trust me. That afternoon, Principal Harrington called Vivian to his office. Marcus was already there, along with a stern-looking woman Vivian didn't recognize. This is Ms. Winters from the Board of Trustees, the principal explained. She's here about this situation. Ms. Winters studied Vivian carefully. Your brother has shared some disturbing communications with us. Combined with the previous evidence, we're treating this matter with utmost seriousness. Hope flickered within Vivian. So you believe us. The evidence is compelling. However, the Blackwell family has requested a formal hearing where both sides can present their case. Vivian's stomach dropped. When? Tomorrow morning. The full board will attend. Ms. Winters paused. This won't be easy. The Blackwells have significant influence. So Sophia gets away with it. Again, Vivian's voice cracked. Not necessarily, Ms. Winters replied, something shifting in her expression. Some of us have been concerned about these patterns for years. As Vivian left the office, her phone chimed with texts from her new friends. We're testifying tomorrow. All of us. Sophia doesn't know what's coming. Stay strong. You're not alone anymore. For the first time since this began, Vivian allowed herself to believe that maybe, just maybe, justice was possible. That night, as she prepared for tomorrow's hearing, another email arrived. From Sophia. Last chance. Back down, or everyone sees exactly who you really are. Vivian stared at the screen, fingers hovering over the keyboard. Then slowly, deliberately, she typed her response. I know exactly who I am. Do you? The boardroom intimidated by design. 12 stern trustees sat at a massive mahogany table. Vivian and Marcus were directed to chairs on one side, while the Blackwell family occupied the other. Sophia smirked confidently. Behind them, chairs lined the walls for witnesses. Ellie, Maya, and 4 other students waited nervously. On Sophia's side sat Rebecca and 2 loyal friends. Ms. Winters called the room to order. We're here to address serious allegations of bullying, intimidation, and now blackmail, she began. This is not a criminal proceeding, but its consequences are significant nonetheless. Mr. Blackwell immediately stood. Before we begin, I must object to the presence of Marcus Blake. His relationship to the accuser represents a clear conflict of interest. Noted, Ms. Winters replied calmly. However, Mr. Blake was hired specifically to investigate bullying claims, with the board's approval. His findings would exist regardless of his relationship to Miss Blake. Vivian felt a surge of gratitude toward this unexpected ally. Now we'll hear from both parties, beginning with Vivian Blake. Standing on wobbly legs, Vivian approached the podium. The speech she prepared seemed to evaporate from her memory. Instead, she spoke from her heart. I came to Westfield hoping for a fresh start. What I found was calculated cruelty from my very first day. Her voice strengthened as she continued. This isn't about me being sensitive or misunderstanding jokes. Sophia Blackwell systematically targeted me and others because it gave her power. She described the escalating pattern of harassment, the threats, the physical intimidation. Yesterday, she sent me this. Vivian displayed the blackmail email. She's threatening to expose my most vulnerable moments from my old school, unless I withdraw my complaints. Murmurs rippled through the board members. These are serious accusations, said an older trustee. But it's essentially your word against Miss Blackwell's. No, it's not, Marcus interjected, distributing folders to each board member. These contain documented evidence, photos, videos, text messages, and statements from multiple students. The room fell silent as the trustees reviewed the material. And now, Ms. Winters said, we'll hear from Sophia Blackwell. Sophia approached the podium with practiced poise. I'm deeply hurt by these accusations, she began, her voice trembling perfectly. Vivian misinterpreted friendly teasing as bullying. As for the chokehold incident, we were demonstrating wrestling moves from gym class. She turned tearful eyes to the board. The truth is, Vivian came to our school determined to build her reputation at my expense. She and her brother orchestrated this campaign to discredit me because they resent my family's position at Westfield. Mrs. Blackwell nodded approvingly at her daughter's performance. Regarding the email, Sophia continued smoothly, I simply wanted Vivian to understand that transparency should work both ways. If my behavior is being examined, shouldn't her history of emotional instability be relevant? The calculated cruelty of these words hit Vivian like a physical blow. Ms. Winters studied Sophia carefully. We'll now hear from witnesses, beginning with Ellie Chen. One by one, Vivian's supporters testified. They described years under Sophia's reign of terror, specific incidents, patterns of behavior, the culture of fear she'd created. Then Sophia's witnesses spoke, painting her as misunderstood and generous. The hearing stretched for hours. Final statements were made. The board announced they would deliberate privately. As they waited in the hallway, Marcus squeezed Vivian's hand. Whatever happens, I'm proud of you. Mr. Blackwell approached them, voice low and threatening. You've made a serious mistake challenging my family. This isn't over. You're right, Marcus replied evenly. Because if the board doesn't act appropriately, our next stop is the media. Mr. Blackwell's face darkened, but before he could respond, the boardroom doors opened. They were called back inside. Ms. Winters stood, her expression grave. After reviewing all evidence, the board has reached a unanimous decision. The room held its breath. Sophia Blackwell is suspended for 2 weeks, followed by a probationary period of 1 semester. Additionally, she will attend mandatory counseling. Sophia gasped in outrage. Furthermore, Ms. Winters continued, "We are implementing a zero-tolerance bullying policy, effective immediately. The Blackwell donation to our new library is appreciated but will not influence disciplinary decisions." Mr. Blackwell stood, red-faced. "This is outrageous. My daughter has been given far more leniency than her actions warrant," Ms. Winters interrupted firmly. For the first time, Vivian saw something she never expected. Sophia Blackwell looked genuinely afraid. The days following the hearing blurred together. Sophia's suspension created a power vacuum that rippled through Westfield's social hierarchy. Former victims walked taller. Former enablers scrambled to reposition themselves. Vivian found herself at the center of it all, though she never wanted the spotlight. During lunch on Thursday, she sat with Ellie and their growing group when Principal Harrington approached. "Miss Blake, could I speak with you privately?" In his office, he seemed different. The weight of the Blackwell's influence lifted from his shoulders. "I want to thank you," he said simply. "What you did took extraordinary courage. I just wanted the bullying to stop. You did more than that. You broke a pattern that's persisted for years." He folded his hands on his desk. "The board has asked me to offer you a position on our new student ethics committee. We're revamping all our policies on bullying." Vivian blinked in surprise. "I'm honored, but take some time to consider it," he suggested. "You have a unique perspective we could benefit from." Walking back to class, Vivian passed the security office where Marcus was packing his desk. "You're really leaving?" she asked from the doorway. He nodded. "My contract was always temporary. The investigation is complete. What will you do now?" "I've been offered a position developing anti-bullying protocols for the entire school district." He smiled. "Apparently, my methods get results. I'll miss seeing you every day. I'm still your brother. I'm still here for you." He paused. "But I don't think you need my protection anymore." That afternoon, Vivian checked her usual hiding spot in the library, only to find someone already there. Rebecca sat alone, textbook open but clearly unread. Vivian turned to leave, but Rebecca called after her. "Wait." Cautiously, Vivian approached. "What do you want?" "To apologize. I was awful to you." Rebecca couldn't meet her eyes. "I've been Sophia's friend since kindergarten. I didn't know how to be anything else. Why tell me this now?" "Because watching you stand up to her made me realize I never had the courage to." She hesitated. "Her parents are sending her to therapy. Real therapy, not just the school-mandated sessions. I think she might actually be getting help." Vivian absorbed this unexpected information. "I hope it works for her." 2 weeks passed quickly. The day of Sophia's return loomed over Vivian like a storm cloud. That morning, she dressed carefully, reminding herself she had nothing to fear anymore. "You've got this," Marcus texted. "Remember who you are." The whispers started the moment Sophia entered the building. She looked different, subdued, her designer uniform lacking its usual perfect crispness. The entourage that once surrounded her was notably absent. Vivian was at her locker when Sophia approached. The hallway fell silent, students pausing to watch the confrontation everyone had anticipated. "Can we talk?" Sophia asked quietly. "Somewhere private?" Every instinct warned Vivian to refuse, but something in Sophia's expression gave her pause. They found an empty classroom. "I'm not going to apologize," Sophia began, her voice lacking its usual edge. "At least, not yet. My therapist says apologies need to be genuine, and I'm not there yet." Vivian nodded, unsure how to respond. "But I'm going to stay away from you," Sophia continued. "Not because I'm afraid of getting in trouble, but because I'm starting to understand what I did." She looked out the window, vulnerability showing through her carefully maintained facade. My parents have been pushing me to be perfect my entire life. Nothing was ever good enough. The only time they noticed me was when I dominated others. That doesn't excuse what you did. No, it doesn't. Sophia met her eyes directly. I'm telling you because I want you to know I'm trying to change, not because I expect forgiveness. The bell rang, signaling 1 minute until class. I should go, Vivian said. As she reached the door, Sophia spoke again. The ethics committee. I heard you're joining it. I am. Good. They need someone who understands both sides. Vivian paused. Both sides. The bullied and the broken, Sophia said softly. Sometimes they're the same person. As Vivian walked to class, she realized something profound had shifted. Not just in the school's power structure, but in her own understanding of strength. Real power wasn't in dominating others. It was in having the courage to stand up, and sometimes in having the wisdom to listen. 6 months later, Westfield Academy had transformed. The ethics committee had implemented new policies. Anonymous reporting systems were in place. Teachers had undergone training to recognize and address bullying. Vivian sat in the auditorium, watching Principal Harrington introduce their new initiative, a peer support program for students struggling with social challenges. Beside her sat Ellie, now her closest friend. In 3 rows ahead, Sophia Blackwell listened attentively, a notebook open on her lap. Her journey toward redemption was only beginning, but she was on the path. Did you ever imagine this outcome? Ellie whispered. Vivian shook her head. Never. Your brother would be proud. He is. He still checks up on me every day. Vivian smiled. But I don't need him watching over me anymore. As the assembly ended, Vivian's phone buzzed with a text from Marcus. Dinner tonight to celebrate 6 months of the new you? She typed back quickly. Not the new me. Just finally the real me. And that was the truth Westfield Academy had taught her. Sometimes the greatest act of courage isn't standing up to others. It's standing up as yourself. That brings the story to a close. It's easy to feel small when power is loud and cruel. But Vivian showed us that quiet strength, backed by truth, can shake the walls of even the most untouchable places. Standing up doesn't always mean shouting. It can mean holding your ground, telling your truth, and believing that you matter, even when no one else does. And sometimes that's where real change begins. Was the punishment fair? Or did she deserve worse? Let's hear it in the comments. If you're still watching, you clearly appreciate quality storytelling. Subscribe and check out another one. We've got more just like this.